Good day, family. How's everybody doing today? This is PantherStrike. And family, today, as you can see the title, Lectures from Failures, I wanted to discuss with you the statements made by both Al Sharpton and former President Barack Obama in reference to the murder of Charlie Kirk. Okay. Charlie Kirk. Yes, we're still deal. Oh, sorry. Yes, we're still dealing with the these so-called fallout from uh, the shooting of Charlie Kirk. But when I woke up this morning, and I'm an early riser. When I woke up this morning, I started thinking. I said, you know, they're focusing on and they're lying about this issue of this shooting being a political assassination, for which it is not. Charlie Kirk was not a politician, nor was he an activist. He was labeled an activist because, as they do, they have to um, put a title on a racist that would not scare people. Okay, this they don't want to scare people. So what they do is they'll say political activists and yada 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 and blah 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 and all this crap. Okay, so I'm sorry, fam. Let me give me a second. Maybe trying to get the light right. Or better still, let me do this, and this, widen this up a little bit. And I hope everyone can hear me clearly. Okay. So, as I said before, they try not to uh, uh, label these people as being what they are, staunch racists, terrorists. And we in the Black community, we've seen all of this before. We've seen all of this before, and we're not surprised nor surprised by this. But without further ado, let's begin. I want to start with a statement that uh, the Reverend Al Sharpton made in reference to the Charlie Kirk uh, murder. He said, and I quote, "I don't care how much you disagree with Charlie Kirk. He did not deserve to be killed, and we should pray for his family. Yeah, he had different views of me. He attacked me by name, but we debate that." This is what Al Sharpton said. We debate that. We don't shoot at each other, and we don't glorify each other's demise. And we cannot fight evil being evil ourselves. If you become like the folk you are challenging, then you don't have the moral right to challenge them. Only right gonna conquer wrong. Only love gonna conquer hate. Okay? And it is time for us to show the God in us to conquer the demonic powers that have ripped through this country apart. We must stand up together. I can denounce what they're doing without denouncing me. If we believe that we have to denounce people, then why do we go to church? And I'm going to say something about that part too. Somebody had to turn you around. You weren't born holy. You weren't in here all the time. If God can forgive you, then you preach forgiveness to others and make them better. Now, that was Al Sharpton uh, a few days ago. I think this was, I do believe this was the Sunday after Kirk was killed. I do believe that this was that day. But family, let me go back. Let me go back before that. This is a statement. These were some of the statements that Al Sharpton made while delivering the eulogy of our beloved child that was murdered in a botched police raid back in 2015. That child's name was Ayanna Stanley Jones. This is what uh, Sharpton, some of the things that Sharpton said. He said, and I quote, "This child is the breaking point." Okay? He also said, "I'd rather tell you to start looking at the man in the mirror. We've all done something that contributed to this," meaning Ayanna's murder. So, in other words, he had urged the community to examine the internal issues, okay? Violence and responsibility. He was he was blaming, he was looking at the very people that went there to grieve Ayanna's death, a child, a child's death. And in case you don't remember, Ayanna was shot by a race soldier by the name of Joseph Weekley, who was on the Michigan Police. I can't remember the town right off, but on the Michigan Police Department, I can't remember the precinct, Detroit precinct that he was employed by. But what they did was this investigative news agency was on a ride along. Okay. They were on a ride along and they had scoped Ayanna's grandmother's house. So the plan was to go in like Johnny Law. Da, 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 da. What they did was they kicked in the door, they threw a flash grenade. James Joseph Weekley comes in, the race soldier that he was and is today. He's still employed. He pointed his high-powered rifle at Ayanna's head, 7-year-old child, and pulled the trigger. Excuse me. This child was murdered on her grandmother's sofa. Now we're still talking about Al. Ayanna was murdered on her grandmother's sofa. When the dust had settled, Ayanna's lifeless body was carried out along with the blood-stained sofa for which the bullet penetrated Ayanna's skull, exited her skull, and through the sofa. Okay? Now, mind you, Joseph Weekley was on trial for that. Okay. He was on trial. He went on trial for that and lied. He said that Ayana's grandmother, who was sitting, wait a minute, it would be like this, who was sitting, she was sitting over here to my right. Ayana was here. Joseph weakly entered the premises to my left. Flash, bang, bang. He lied and said that Ayana's grandmother came from across. Now, this was before he pulled the trigger now. Came from across the living room to grab the barrel, pointed it, and he fired. Then it did not add up. Okay. This did not add up. The lie, it would have been, it defies the laws of physics and time. Okay, physics and time. He told a lie on the stand and said that the grandmother was the reason that Ayana was killed. Okay. So now we're fast forwarding a little bit, a week or so after Ayana's murder, a 7-year-old child after her murder. Al Sharpton, delivering the eulogy, is lecturing the people that came there to grieve this child's murder, to grieve a 7-year-old child, a baby that's in a casket. And he says that, let me repeat that again. I'd rather tell you to start looking at the man in the mirror. We've all done something that contributed to this. Al's exact words. To the family and loved ones of a 7-year-old child. Okay. Okay. This was when I got a hold. I didn't get a complete transcript of Al's complete eulogy. Okay. At Ayana's funeral. But this is what we are discussing today. Failures. 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 Al Sharpton, in reference to Charlie Kirk, he seems to believe that because you're a black man and because you got black broke ass civil rights NAACP having Negroes in your the Now Action Network, whatever the hell that network is, that these things are gonna slip. These things are gonna slip on by. Okay. He not only said, he basically said, let's just accept Charlie as a human being, Charlie Kirk. Now, we've already amassed within ourselves who Charlie Kirk was and what he stood for and what he is known for. Okay? Staunch racist, we know that part. But we're talking about Boule Negroes today, the failed class, the failed the lectures from failures, okay, that demand, that demand that you bow down, that you bow down and listen and take heed the failed plan of your oppressor. Al Sharpton, September 10th, 2025, the National Action Network, excuse me. This is a quote from him. And actually, I do believe Charlie was shot. Charlie Kirk, the known staunch racist, mind you, was shot on the 10th. Okay, this is what Al said on the 10th. And coming from I didn't, but this is fair use, fair use. Reverend Al Sharpton. Any form of physical violence is deplorable, especially today's brazen attack on Charlie Kirk. Remember that description, brazen attack on Charlie Kirk. We can disagree, we can debate, but we can never, ever resort to violence or try to take one's life. Just as I condemned last summer's attempt on Donald Trump's life, I categorically condemn today's shooting. I pray for him, okay, and for our political climate to cool, for us to demonstrate and debate free of physical threats. Okay. 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 This is, let us now go to the statements of the very man, leader of the National Action Network, Al Sharpton, the very statements of that man he wants you to pray for. He wants you to pray for. Okay. Charlie Kirk said this. Let me make sure I get it right now. Let me make sure I get it right. Charlie Kirk said this. Now, these are some of these are the Black individuals and the Black movements that Charlie Kirk made disparaging racist remarks, along with some of the summary. I'll try to throw in some summaries, but this isn't all. This isn't all, mind you, but this is what he said, the Black Lives Movement. This is what Charlie Kirk said. Malevolent. He said that people posting a black square on social media are surrendering to something that is not true. Okay? Not true about systemic racism. Who knows more about systemic racism than you, brothers and sisters? Who knows more about systemic racism? He also said that, now get this, he said that BLM, Black Lives Matter, the acronym stands for burn, loot, and murder. Let's go on to the next statement that he made about Black pilots. To my brothers who are flying jetliners from Dulles Airport to London Heathrow, okay, from LA to DC, LA to Maine. Let me say something about the black pilots whom I have never read in any FAA in any FAA findings that a black pilot downed a jetliner in history. I've yet to read that. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. But let me read what he said about black pilots. He said, and I quote, "If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified." Another one, George Floyd. Oh, he went in. He said that he kept repeating that George Floyd's criminal record was totally relevant. Was totally relevant. And that, and that his death might have been a drug overdose. Might have been a drug overdose. Now, you and I saw the complete video, 10 minutes, Derek Chauvin suffocated George Floyd over the call of a fake $20 bill. Now, I don't know if anyone found it, but we have yet to see that fake $20 bill that ended George Floyd's life. We have yet to see that fake $20 bill. Juneteenth. Oh, this is a good one. Charlie Kirk, he had been so critical of the observance of Juneteenth, but he called it Racial Complaining Day, Juneteenth. Now, this is the man Al Sharpton wants you to pray for. Racial Complaining Day. See, you heard all of this before, family. You heard all of this before. Okay, you heard all this before. He said that Juneteenth was to smear and slander white America. Here is the Karen in him. Charlie Kirk. He said this earlier this year. In reference to crime, he said this, claiming that some black people are prowling and seeking out white people. He said, prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. He couldn't leave Martin Luther King alone. He said that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake, a huge mistake. You've heard it. He also said that Dr. King was an awful man, not a good person, and he accused King of being admired only because he said things he didn't actually believe in. He said that Dr. King was just blowing smoke up our asses. Our writer. Okay, he said that Dr. King was blowing smoke up our asses. Okay. This is Al Sharpton. But I would be remiss if I did not mention Barack Obama. Obama has always had the gall to remotely and directly, and directly and indirect, that you, black man, let me start with you, that you, black man, have have no business, have no business in stating what it is that you demand as a father, as pillars in your community. What is right for your community? What is right for your communities? Obama has, since his inception into politics, see, Obama, Professor Black Truth, Professor Black Truth has been laying it down for the last 17, 18 years. It was my father that turned me on to Professor Black Truth. My father turned me on to Professor Black Truth back in 2010. Okay? Back in 2010. Professor Black Truth had always watched Black politicians like Obama and Kamala Harris, and we know she ain't Black. These black, these fake, these fake Black politicians, because neither one of them has ever had the Black community's well-being within their hearts. They've never had any of our demands, any of our issues on their mind. Never. But they wanted that Black vote. Okay? They wanted that Black vote. This is what Obama said about Charlie Kirk. Regardless of where you are on a political spectrum, what happened to Charlie Kirk was horrific and a tragedy. He also emphasized that doesn't negate the fact that what happened was a tragedy, and that I mourn for him and his family. Okay? Obama also warned that violence against political figures, whether left or right, is a threat to all of us. Okay, it's a threat and undermines democracy. First and foremost, let's go back. This was not a political assassination, Mr. Obama. This was a murder of one white man on another, one white man to another. He murdered another. Tyler Robinson murdered another white man. He wants us to mourn for a staunch racist bigot. That's what Obama wants us to do. He stressed that, and I quote, the central premise of our democratic system is that we have to be able to disagree and have sometimes really contentious debates without resort to violence. I have some news for Mr. Obama, sir. Freedmen FBAs have never been invited to the table, to the political table, to discuss our demands, sir. We've never been invited. We've always been told to shut up and vote. But we've never been invited to the political table. And when we express what our demands are, shut up and vote. How dare you? But I also would like to asked Mr. Obama, sir, when have we seen democracy? Democracy. When have we seen that, Mr. Obama? Never. He always seems, and this is how you know when they are blowing smoke up your ass, is when they start deflecting. Now, he criticized Trump and Trump's allies. Now, this is over MAGA on MAGA. Okay. He criticized Trump and his allies for blaming political opponents before facts were known, saying it was, quote, a mistake to use the strategy to silence discussion around who we are as a country. Bruh, let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. This isn't about who we are as a country. This is about the violent nature of this country, Mr. Obama, held by one group of people only. Okay? Only. We're not talking about the country as a collective. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the violence of one group of people only. This was not, this did, damn it. What black people did you see in that crowd? That was, I think that was about 2,500 people to about 3,000 people sitting there to hear Charlie Kirk's speech before he got popped. I didn't see, the only black person I saw in that was that damn coon who was on Charlie Kirk's bodyguard brigade, helped carry his lifeless ass to that SUV. He was bleeding. Now, the unedited video of that, he was bleeding out. They couldn't get Charlie Kirk in the SUV quick enough because of the severity of that bullet, the bullet wound. It ruptured, it tore apart his jugular vein. Sir, now you tell me outside of that one bodyguard, black bodyguard, you tell me outside of that, how I did not see any black people in that audience, bruh. We didn't see anybody. This isn't about a collective, the country as a collective. This is about the violent nature of these people. The violent nature of white America. Now here, they underhandedly start lecturing you, brothers and sisters. They start lecturing you to shield the very ones that are responsible. Now, wait a minute. Doesn't that bring up another word, accountability? Accountability. So when Obama says we as a country collectively, no. Now, he didn't know Kirk personally. But he said that he disagreed with Kirk. Okay? And he said, and I quote, respecting the rights of others to hold those opinions is essential to democracy. We ain't never seen democracy, Mr. Obama. And he went on, from what I understand, yeah, he did. He praised who was that guy? Utah Governor Spencer Cox. Now, remember, Spencer Cox said, and I quote, I was praying that it wasn't one of us. Spencer Cox wanted it to be one of us. He wanted it to be a foreign entity. He wanted it to be someone other than a white man from America. And that didn't happen. Hold on now. Hold on now. And we're almost done. We're almost done. Let me read a quick article from a young lady by the name of Cheyenne M. Daniels. Now, this was October the 11th, 2024, last year, over a year ago. Miss Daniels wrote, now quote, former President Obama, now remember, we're talking about lectures from failures. Lectures from failures. Former President Obama, fair use. Former President Obama is drawing backlash for recent comments calling on black men. Now, this was last year, black men to turn out for vote for Vice President Harris in November's election. At a campaign stump for Harris on Thursday in Pittsburgh, Obama said that despite Harris raising upward of $1 billion, and I'm going to tell you how powerful you are, brothers and sisters. I'm going to tell you, $1 billion that they raised. Quote, we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running, when Barry. That lag in energy, he added, appears to be more pronounced with the brothers. He's attacking you. He attacked you, and you know this. He attacked you last year. You're coming up with this is Barry. You're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that, he said, because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly, black men, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. Let me tell you something. Let me stop there and we're going to keep moving because I know y'all got stuff to do. Let me tell you what's wrong with that. See, he took cues from those white feminists that were rising in early 2000. He took cues from them, okay? He took cues to attack the black man, okay? That was from white feminists. And he used that last year again. Again, I say again, because prior to this, we're gonna end with Barry. Prior to this, he did the same thing on the campaign trail. He said, despite polls showing a okay, let me say that last part. Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives, voting for somebody else, for you, which you have the right to, and other reasons for that. Now, Miss Daniels said that despite polls showing a generational divide in black men's support of Harris, Obama's remarks have drawn the ire of several prominent black Americans. And here's one of them. Former Ohio State Senator Nina Turner argued Obama's comments belittled black men. And she said, and I quote, why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Turner said. Sister Nina Said, wait a minute, Negro, I caught that. I caught that. And that doesn't jive right with me. Because when you go to the polls, when you go to the polls and you're casting a vote, that vote doesn't say this is Strike, this is PantherStrike. That doesn't say this is Nina. That doesn't say Cheyenne. That doesn't say Doris. That doesn't say Kim. That doesn't say who we are. It says specifically that this is the individual that I'm voting for because he has um, he has my intentions of empowerment at heart. She also added, and I wouldn't have said this, she added that she has Nina Turner now, she has a lot of love for Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect that. So this is what I say to Barry before we move on to his jumping on the campaign trail. And remember, we're talking about failed lectures from failures. See, Barry, you don't tell me, Barry, you don't tell me or any other brother and sister out there that you have to vote on my behalf. No, no, sir, Mr. Obama, no, no. Unless President, this is what Nina wrote. I'm sorry, this, I do believe Cheyenne was continuing on. I do believe this is still Nina Turner. Quote, unless President Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men for other identity groups, my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to black men who, by and large, don't vote much differently from black women. See, they tried the gender divide. He tried the gender divide in the previous statements. The gender divide that the white feminists have been pulling that shit on us for the last 20 years. As a politician, we should be trying to get all voters to vote. And hopefully, there are a few good men out there who do care about the stripping away of some of women's bodily autonomy. Let me speak to the sisters. Baby girl, my queens. This black man loves you, all of you. I love you when you come in Walmart in your pajamas, wearing bonnets. I love you when you're too revealing. It's your right, baby. It's your right. It's your right. But I would never strip away the essence of a black woman. Your autonomy is not a question with this black man and the millions and millions and millions that think alike that I think alike and think alike of me. That has always been a game. That has always been a game that they have played in order to separate us, in order to say they're divided. Let's attack them. They're divided. And that's not the case. Because you read, and we're moving on, because you read and hear this garbage on CNN, those are the racist tropes, the racist talking points of white supremacy. We know that. Barack Obama is a test tube baby. Okay? He's a test tube baby, just like Kamala Harris. All right? He was grown in the Democrat, in the Dixiecrat laboratory for failures. That's the name of the lab. The Dixiecrat laboratory of failures. That's where Barack Obama was born. This Negro can't talk nothing about FBA Freedmen because he is not one of us. He's a half-breed raised by racists in Hawaii. He never had it so good. He knows nothing of the Black community because he wasn't raised in the Black community like I was, like you were. So don't fall for that shit. Let's end with this. Let's end with this. This is his Father's Day speech. Okay? Urging Black fathers to be more engaged in raising our children. The nerve of this nigga. Yeah, I said it. Barack Obama, he gave a speech at the Apostolic Church of God on Chicago's South Side. And this was written fair use by Nicholas Graham. This is an article by Nicholas Graham, June 23rd, 2008. This was before he was elected. Barack Obama and his family celebrated Father's Day by attending Sunday services at the Apostolic Church of God on Chicago's South Side, where Obama gave a speech highly critical of absent Black fathers. Would you imagine? He urged them to remember their final responsibilities and be more engaged in raising their children. Obama reminded the congregation of his own experience growing up without a father. Now, let me skip ahead to the meat and potatoes of this. Obama said, and I quote, "Before we are honest with ourselves, we'll admit that what too many fathers also are missing from too many lives and too many homes." Lecturing. I took you to 2024, 2025, 2024, and now the foundation of his finger pointing to brothers and sisters. Brothers, the nerve of this house Negro this is his foundation on the campaign trail now. On the campaign trail, 2008, they have abandoned their responsibilities, acting like boys instead of men. And the foundations of our families are weaker because of this. Let me go on. Quote, you and I know how true this is in the African American community. We know they were Africanizing us back then, don't lie. We know that more than half of all Black children, this is a lie, live in single parent households, a number that has doubled, another lie, since we were children. We know the statistics that children who grew up without a father. Racist tropes. Yes, we know more cops. Yes, we need more cops on the street. A lie. Yes, we need fewer guns in the hands of people who shouldn't have them. Another lie. Black America is not armed like that. And it wasn't armed back then. They were using Chicago as a racist trope. He was in the South, he was in Chicago, on the South side of Chicago, spitting racist tropes. The statistics don't add up even back then, Mr. Obama. You lying. You were lying in 2008, you were lying last year, and you were lying now. He also said that, but we also need families to raise children. That's not a lie. We need fathers to realize that responsibility does not end at conception. Here we go. We need them to realize a man is not the ability to have a child, it's the so chastising false characters of an overly sexed Black community. That's what he was saying back in 2008. You need